Now, what I see happen a lot of times is a dentist will say, oh, yeah, I want to get an associate. I go, really, why? Well, I'm just working all the time and, I'm so busy and I think I could start doing more of the procedures I like to do. I said, so what you're saying is you're going to let the associate do all the little piddly things and you want to do the bigger things. Exactly. And I hear this all the time. I said, okay, let me first of all ask you, what are you doing on your new patient flow? What is your strategy to grow your associate? Are you going to begin marketing for the associate? Are you just expecting them to go out and hand out cards?
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Bruce B. Baird, and you're listening to the Productive Dentist Podcast. In this podcast, I will give you everything that I've learned over the last 40 years in dentistry, working with thousands of dentists. I'll tell you, it's not that my way is the only way. It's just one that has worked extremely well for me, and I'd love to share that with you so you too can enjoy the choices and lifestyle that productivity allows. More time for things you love, increased pay, better team relationships, and lowered stress. Let's get into it with this week's episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast.
Hi, this is Dr. Bruce Baird with Productive Dentist Podcast. And today we're going to continue to go over some Q&A, some questions that I've been getting from the readers. And by the way, if you're listening to this and you have a question, please send the questions to bruce@productivedentist.com. This question I get a lot. How do I have a strategy to retire? Do I hire an associate, a partner, or is it better to sell the practice and walk away? Well, that is a wide open question. It really depends. It depends on how much longer you want to practice. It depends on not only on how long you want to practice. If you're done and you're ready to go, well, then you can start thinking about selling a practice. But I think the time to start beginning your exit strategy starts way beyond the time you're ready to retire. I was able to grow a practice that was valued, we were doing over $5 million in collections by using a strategy of bringing in associates. I've had 9 different associates in the office, probably more than that actually. And then specifically as I grew my business, which means if I had a furniture store, as I grew my business, it means my revenues kept increasing. And as I saw my schedule become tighter, and I'm going to use the word saturated, my practice became saturated. My revenue was very consistent. I was doing all the things I needed to do. When I hear somebody say, should I bring in an associate? Should I bring in a partner? What I do know is you better have your practice at saturation, meaning your business is clipping on all cylinders. Bringing in an associate, I would do that first before I ever brought in a partner. And there are equity associateships that you can, there's strategies for that. There's strategies for just a straight sale. But my thought process, and again, it's just mine, it's not the only way to do it, I wanted to have a partnership arrangement in a group practice environment. That was always my goal. I started out at dental school. I went in the U.S. Army. I loved having other dentists around. I loved asking questions. I loved answering questions. I just liked the camaraderie of having more than one dentist. So I've never practiced in more than just maybe a couple of years total by myself. So again, if I had a furniture store, what determines if I'm growing that business? Well, my revenue's growing. And so I want to come up with a strategy that help grow my business. Now, what I see happen a lot of times is a dentist will say, oh, yeah, I want to get an associate. I go, really, why? Well, I'm just working all the time and, I'm so busy and I think I could start doing more of the procedures I like to do. I said, so what you're saying is you're going to let the associate do all the little piddly things and you want to do the bigger things. Exactly. And I hear this all the time. I said, okay, let me first of all ask you, what are you doing on your new patient flow? How is your new patient flow? Oh, we have great new patient flow. We're seeing 50 new patients a month. Okay. So what is your strategy to grow your associate? Are you going to begin marketing for the associate? Are you just expecting them to go out and hand out cards and bring people in themselves? Which I like that. I do. But I think you have to have a combined strategy of saying, we're going to market and we're going to do this, because here's the problem. Here's the rub. When they start seeing what's considered your new patients, and why is it considered? Well, I always said next available appointment. If they don't ask specifically for me, it's next available. It goes straight to the associate. Now, some people say, well, I don't want to do that. I don't know what kind of dentistry. Well, then you're not ready. You're not saturated. Because what you also have to be ready for is, if you bring in an associate, you may see a dip in your revenue initially. You may start to change the way you treatment plan. Now I'm going to begin treatment planning, for instance, more implant dentistry. I want to do more all on fours, and I want to have an associate that does all of the other things. Fine. And an associate, I will tell you what Dr. Buski and I did. When Dr. Buski came in, he was extremely talented, a great clinician. Did not know a lot about the business of dentistry, but he was a great clinician. And I realized that early on. I realized that, as I'm going in, and do I check preps? Do I check stuff? You're damn right I do. My name is associated with this business. So you're damn right I'm going to look at those things. I want to make sure that the dentistry that we're putting out is at the highest level. If it's not, as an associate in the practice, I would begin to work with them, saying, look, you really want to clean this up, and if somebody has a huge ego and can't take that, well, they're not around the office very long. They're gone. Why? Because I want it to be a place where we have like-minded people. We all have an interest in taking great care of the patient, and we all have an interest in reaching our goals, being efficient. And that doesn't mean working fast. It just means working smart. And so that question of, do I bring an associate? Do I bring in a partner? My suggestion is you bring in an associate. You work with them for a couple of years. Let's just say 2 years. Then you begin the process of either selling the practice to that associate so that they become an owner, part of the practice. You can look at the lean and mean philosophy of bringing in 3 or 4 partners and building the business. You may not like that at all. You may just say, look, I'd like to build my business so my value increases. Well, remember what we talked about a few weeks ago. The investment grade practice is one that has a great team, great training, great productivity, great production per hour, great overall esprit de corps. Everybody's having fun. They're all having fun. They're all doing things that they want to do. And to me, then you really can bring in an associate and things can happen. But way too often I see somebody who says, I'm going to bring in an associate. The associate doesn't get any of the new patients. The associate is bummed out. They thought it was going to be X and it turned out to be Y. When I was teaching at Baylor University to the senior dental students, I asked them a question. Which would you rather have as an associate? 30% of your collections or 25% of your collections? And I said, 30%? Of course, everybody in the room raised their hand. 25%? Nobody. I was like, okay, well, let me ask you this question in a different way. How would you like it if you got 30% of collection and you were responsible for finding all your own new patients? And the new patient flow was okay, but it wasn't great. Or we've got somebody who's going to market the growth of the practice. There's a healthy new patient flow above what the senior doctor can see, and they've got all of the systems in place and everything else. Now, which do you want? Well, we got a little bit different answers then, and that's what you have to ask that question. What's my strategy for retiring? What's my exit strategy? Well, there's 100 different exit strategies. I'm just trying to share with you a thought process, because when you bring an associate in and your production goes down, people start getting really protective and they start almost resenting the associate because now they're taking some of your money away. Well, you weren't saturated. In other words, you're not building that internal referrals from the people that you're already working on. There's no way you can see all the people that want to come see you because you've built that practice that way. But maybe you were just the practitioner who was just happened to see the new patients, was doing some of the dentistry, not all of it, wasn't committed to comprehensive treatment planning. When you see that, and in particular in the PPO environment, you just hope, well, let's just sign up for 10 more PPOs and hopefully you'll take first available appointment, come on in. Those are entirely different thought processes. And what I can tell you is we're going to do a podcast on to PPO or not, and my philosophy on that is if you don't have to, don't. But I also have a philosophy that says if you have to, it's okay, but have a strategy to get rid of them when the time's right. Because what you don't want to be doing is giving away 40% of your value, 40% to a PPO. And that again is an entirely different different conversation. And what about the doc that just says, I just want to sell my practice, I want to walk away? Well, hopefully one of two things has happened. You've invested in real estate, you've taken your money and invested in the stock market, and it's done well for the last 12 years. You're doing things, you've been fiscally responsible, and you could retire without the revenue you have from the practice. If you're that person and you're tired and you don't want to do dentistry anymore, then you could sell your practice and walk away. Most of the DSOs now, when they buy you, they want you to stay at least a couple of years, 3 years, 2 years, some 5 years. So that has to be part of your strategy too. So it is if you're done, then and you want to walk away and you're financially independent, you can do anything you want to do. But get it, if you're financially independent and you've taken care of business, then you can do whatever it is you want to do. It's when guys get backed into a corner. They get backed into a situation where, golly, I'm so tired. I'm burned out on dentistry. I want to sell. That's not the time to sell. I'm burned out on dentistry is not the time to sell because more than likely your productivity is much less than it could be. And so what you need to do is have an attitude of that abundance attitude that says, okay, I want to build my practice as an investment grade business. And by doing that, we're doing our foundations course with PDA. It's online. You get to ask questions with your own peers. Plus, we have coaches available. We have our team is all there. And you go through a curriculum for 8 weeks, 2 months, to become the kind of practice leader that you need to be. What I will tell anybody is give us 5 years. Give PDA 5 years to help your business. Not only will you benefit, but you're going to benefit big time when it does come time for you to transition. When you do make the decision, you know what? I'm ready to sell my practice, but I'm not selling it at $750,000 worth of production and collections of, $620, and I'm selling the whole thing for $300. No, now you're selling a $3 million practice for $2.5. So you're going to make so much more money by having your exit strategy be an intentional activity. Now, certainly there are things that happen, back injuries. I've seen it, a heart transplant. I went in and helped a buddy of mine that had a heart transplant. So yes, sometimes things get in the way. What I will tell you is there's no time like the present to begin to build your investment grade business, to take great care of your practice, to make sure your patients are being taken care of, to potentially bring in an associate if you're at saturation, to turn that associate into a partner. And if your business is continuing to grow and you're in the right area, these things can all just snowball. And so what you do is when it does come time that you want to walk away, then you have a choice. You don't even have to walk away. You could grandfather into the practice and say, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 35% and I'm going to work just 1 day a week or 2 days a week. I want to keep my fingers wet, but you'll have partners there that take care of the rest. So lots of different ways to do this. I probably covered 10% of them, but hopefully this has been interesting for you. And I really look forward to our next podcast. So, take care, guys. Love you guys.
If you're losing sleep over your business and feel like you're already overloaded, but know your business needs attention, you just don't know how, when, or where to start? You're not alone. The reality is many dentists are overworking themselves, yet their practices are still struggling to be as productive as they should be. This is not sustainable, and there is a better way. That's why PDA has developed a transformative new program, Business Impact Foundations, to get you above the daily chaos and propel your business into an investment-grade practice. Using easy-to-implement proven methods combined with a unique learning atmosphere, you can activate a strategic growth plan in just 60 days. If you want to clarify your vision, align your team, and elevate the health of your community like never before, call us right now at 1-800-757-6077, extension 8, or head over to productivedentist.com/foundations to secure your spot. We have 2 sessions left this year, and each program is limited to only 20 doctors. Just for our listeners, use the code 2021IMPACT, that's 2021IMPACT, all one word, for $700 off your tuition.
Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast. If you found this episode helpful, make sure you subscribe. Pass it along to a friend. Give us a like on iTunes and Spotify, or drop me an email at podcast@productivedentist.com. Don't forget to check out other podcasts from the Productive Dentist Academy at productivedentistpodcast.com. Join me again next week for another episode of the Productive Dentist Podcast.